Hello, everybody. Robert Weichelt for the MORE Listings Mastermind, a real estate podcast. Power, growth, and momentum. It all starts with this week's MORE Listing Mastermind. So I want to welcome you to the show. It's been a great week in real estate already. I can't wait to hear what we've got going on. And so thank you for jumping on. My bride will be manning the chat box. So any questions, Q&A, go ahead and put that in the chat box. Keep yourself muted so we can get a nice clean recording of this. It'll be recorded on our for our YouTube channel as well as our Spotify podcast channel. So with that said, it started with the program. I always like to start off with a quote, and this is by far my favorite one. The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. That was Vince Lombardi, and that's something that that it kind of speaks true. And I use this quite a bit, but it's so many people want the success without putting in the work and rolling up to sleeve and getting things done. So we're going to talk about that extensively in today's. Well, who am I? My name is Robert Weichelt. I'm the host of MORE Listings Mastermind. Excuse me. Since 1986. Yes, I just did the math again this morning. 1986. February of 1986, I entered the real estate business. That will be 40 years for those counting at home. It blows my mind. 40 years has gone by so quick. I have the privilege of helping thousands of sellers, countless agents, success in every type of market. Excuse me. Give me one sec. That's the best part about being live. As a broker, trainer, mentor, my mission is simple. Empower others to grow, win, and lead with purpose. We help agents that want more now listings, and we'll go into detail there. Would you rather work with somebody that's going to sell in 7 to 12 years or 7 to 12 days? That's up to you. We help agents that want now listings, working with FSBOs, expired, pre-foreclosure. Those are the now listings, the lowest hanging fruit. When you're working with the notice of default and the notice of trustees, you're working on future business. You're positioning yourself for the market that's about to come, the post-REO, the distressed homeowners. And we need to really make sure we're reaching out to those folks as well. Now, 5 habits. I always like to start off with the 5 habits to grow your real estate business starting today. Okay. Number 1, lead generation. No exceptions. You need to block out 90 minutes every day for focused prospecting. Number 2, track and measure your numbers. It's measured, gets improved. So track and measure your numbers when you're prospecting. Buyers, sellers, investors, whoever you're reaching out to, track and measure your numbers so you know what's working and you can carry it on to your next week. Number 3, set appointments daily. If you're not setting a seller or buyer appointment every single day, that should be a red flag in your business. Number 4, follow up like a pro. You've heard before, fortune is in the follow-up. 80% of conversions happen in the follow-up. And number 5, sharpen your skills. You need to make sure you're role playing and studying scripts and watching top agent content, going over objections. So you need to have an accountability partner and a role play partner. So remember this, do something today that your future self will thank you for. And that's prospecting. Speaking of prospecting, are you calling the right seller, the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree? I like to use My Plus Leads. I'm just telling you who I use. They're very efficient, very effective. It gets me right to where I need to go with FSBOs. Owners already trying to sell, have their hands up. You've got expired and canceled listings who want to sell, and most of them didn't sell because of price. Okay, so if we can have a conversation with those sellers, if they still want to sell and need to sell, I want to work with them. And of course, the pre-foreclosure space. We need to make sure we're reaching out to those folks and offering our expertise and helping them kind of right the ship, if you will. Now, so many sellers think they want a cash offer. But once they see the cash offer, that may change. But at the end of the day, are you attracting, engaging, and converting sellers that want the cash offer? If you have a cash offer system, I would recommend iList USA. They have been fantastic. They're instant cash offers for your sellers, interactive home valuation tools, built-in lead gen, and marketing tools, and so much more. It's plug and play, and it's very simple. So Carl will be dropping in the chat box both information on the list as well as My Plus Leads. So I recommend you at least check it out. Take advantage of the 14-day free trial, but I want to give you a word of encouragement. Don't sign up for it until you're actually ready to take action, because what happens, that 14 days goes by and then they'll start billing your credit card. Only sign up when you're ready to take more listings. Okay. I said that's important. Now, once you take the listings, we need to make sure we're driving traffic to those properties. Here's an example of one we did just a couple of weeks ago in Fallbrook. In 14 days, we had just under 9,000 views, 8981 to be exact. A 14-day period, that's 789 saves. Those saves equate to open house traffic. Our number one goal when you're taking more listings is driving traffic to the property. This is the kind of traffic we drive to our properties. This particular home had 884 people through the doors. That's a big deal. Most agents I talk to all over the country, doesn't matter the market, 20, 30 people through the door. It seems like a huge number. 884 is a much bigger number. So are you driving views to your properties? Are you driving traffic to your open houses? Because remember, more eyes equals more offers. Now, is your business efficient and effective? I do all of my listing appointments, all my buyer consultations and investor consultations, all done via Zoom. Carla and I have been traveling the country for the last 2 years. We just finished. We're just back home. Thank you, Lord. It was fun, but I can't wait to get back on track. I took 4 listings from the beach in Cabo. We were traveling the country, like I mentioned. We took listings. I literally have pulled over to a truck stop a couple of times, threw out the Starlink, and started taking listings right on the spot. When somebody says, I want to list my home, I'm ready and available. But you don't have to be going to somebody's home, for instance, driving there an hour in traffic, there an hour with the client, and then an hour back to find out the seller's not qualified or motivated. Be efficient and effective, and recommend trying Zoom. Now, if you want to take a look under the hood, I recommend you reach out to me, because we don't just want to survive in real estate. We want to thrive. Book a 30-minute session. Use this Calendly link. Use the QR code. Schedule a time, and let's make it happen. So that's what I wanted to start off with, but I've got a great show today. We've got some really powerful guests, and speaking of powerful guests, let's get right into it. Our partner guest, Tim Yates, use estate planning to win more listings. Tim, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I always appreciate being on your show.
Well, you know what? It's a blast. We have a podcast we run on Tuesdays at noon. If anybody's interested, we'll put the information in the chat box. But Tim, let's get right into it. Real quick, who's Tim Yates?
Yeah, so I founded an estate planning firm. Actually, we've morphed into a technology firm now about a decade ago with my wife, Carrie, who is our firm's lead attorney. And we've really been focusing on disrupting the estate planning industry as a whole, working directly with real estate professionals. Real estate professionals have a seat at the table with homeowners. And, buying and selling real estate goes hand in hand with estate planning. So to me, it's been a perfect fit for that. So we decided our whole goal is to help real estate professionals take their business to another level, help them get more listings, and then in turn we get more estate planning clients. So it's just a perfect thing. And so when you look at the numbers too, here's the thing, Robert. You and I've talked a lot about this. Let's just talk about California specifically here. 87.3% of all homeowners do not have their homes held in a trust. Okay, 87.3. So that equates to 9 out of 10 people in an agent's database that do not have any real estate holdings in a trust. That's why our court systems are so backlogged right now. There's 58 counties in California. I could look at the court calendar of every county, and we're backlogged with probate cases. So, homeowners are desperate, for solutions. They're desperate for knowledge and really affordable solutions. And that's one of the areas that we focus on. And, unfortunately, a lot of times people do look into estate planning, and then they get a price quote of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And then they usually justify not spending that money right away by saying, hey, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'll eventually get to it, and they never do. So we just decided, let's just take affordability out of that whole equation. Our estate planning programs, all of the packages, whether you're married or single, are under $1,000. for the same exact thing, As a matter of fact, the one thing I do want to say right now is, we're trying to help 100 families this holiday season. So we're basically giving away, pretty much giving away estate plans. So we have 100 families we want to help. We're basically giving these plans away for $3.99. So if anybody wants to buy one for themselves or use it as a gift, a holiday gift, it's the greatest deal around. Help 100 families. That's kind of our goal. And we've wrapped all this together, as you know, Robert, within a system called the Legacy Listing System. And that's what you and I are going to start talking a lot about on Tuesdays, where we're going to show agents, again, how they can utilize these three systems that we've created to pick up more listings, to help more people get into deeper, more meaningful relationships. And again, the best part, as you know, we're not selling anything. It's all 100% free. I want to give the information out so agents can utilize that information to help more people. In turn, it helps me. So it's a win-win for everybody.
I love it, Tim. It's always good to have you on. And remember, that's Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Pacific. It's a quick 30-minute webinar showing you how you can reach out to your database. Guys, listen up. Reaching out to your database with more than, hey, do you want to buy, sell, or invest, but bringing them the tools and the services and the value adds, it's super huge. So, Tim, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you.
Speaking of awesome, my lender, Richie Sorenson, is our next guest, and I'm going to bring him up. He's my lender. He did when I mean my lender, he works with all my clients, but he did my daughter's loan and my son's loan. So trust me, that's a big, big task. You got Papa Bear over here. So I want to make sure that everyone's taken care of. And Richie, you hit it out of the park. I bring this up every single week. You were awesome. You make me look good. Thank you very much for being you. By the way, why don't you tell the audience who Richie Sorenson is?
I'm Richie Sorenson. Well, I started 10 years ago in this industry, and I quickly learned where I enjoy my job the most is educating someone into a homeowner. That's what we really do well, is helping you nurture these clients into becoming a homeowner. Part of what we do, like Robert and I were talking about, we helped your son purchase a home. Yes. Then they get solicited by a ton of stuff in the mail saying refi, refi, refi. Well, it's like, well, let's slow down. Let's put your best interest first. And that brings me into the update. Look, the government has now reopened, which means we're going to be dependent on some key economic reports that were delayed, and they're going to start coming out. So the Fed's going to meet on December 9th and 10th, and Jerome Powell came out and said there's no risk-free path and another rate cut is not guaranteed. So they're going to be highly dependent on some of this incoming data. But for someone that's like, yeah, I want to refi, we are seeing that like ADP data shows hiring slowed in October, signaling a cooling labor market. That pushes some downward pressure on rates. So certain things like that, as we love to educate your clients, even if they're in a home, on what's coming next. Some other interesting info we got on the housing side, ICE came out and predicted that home prices will rise 4.1% over the next 12 months. What that means is a $500,000 home gaining 4% is $20,000 of equity in a year. Real estate continues to build wealth. When I look back at year one, those first few clients that gave me a shot, to see the equity they've built now puts a huge smile on my face. We just helped a couple take that equity and purchase an investment condo through our Lightning Equity HELOC. That's a lot to timeline is to pull the HELOC and purchase and make sure we close smooth and on time. We had their funds in 7 days for the HELOC to line up for their closing. So that's the mortgage market update and what we could do for you as a lender.
You know what? That's awesome. And I always appreciate what the knowledge you have about this business is so important. I think a lot of agents that have been doing this for a while, sure, they understand how loans go. I have my NMLS. I've been in the mortgage space for a long time. I still don't know as much as you. And that's why I have my clients reach out to you directly. I don't want to play lender. I like having my clients reach out to you. So, Richie, thank you for always making me look so good, because referring a lender or title or escrow, referring services is a big deal. You're only as good as your clients and what you do. So thank you so much. I do have one question. what do you want to say to the agents that are looking to establish a lender relationship with you? What do you want to say to the agents? How can they reach out to you, and what would you tell them why they should work with you?
I think where we will set ourselves apart is the communication and the follow-up. I know that sounds cliche, but look, I might call once, twice, three, four, and then most lenders give up. I'm not going to give up till you block my call. I'm going to work so hard to make sure that client purchase a home. I'm not going to twist their arm and force them, but I'm going to come at them with a servant's heart and education. I can there's so much data always coming out. There's something I can bring of value to your clients. And some of that is allow me to help you do that. We can tap into your sphere, and I can test it with the agents. We do that all the time. I say, hey, let me just test on you so you can see what we send your clients. And they love it. They're like, wow, that's super cool. And then I take it a step further and say, co-market with me. And I'm going to put myself second, you first, and I'm going to bring that information to your clients. And it's going to start a conversation so they're not just getting something in the mail from a random agent that decided to send mailers. I want you to be top of mind. That's how we set ourselves apart.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know what, guys? Richie's QR code. I encourage you to reach out to him. In my opinion, unless you're brand new, started yesterday, most agents have a lending person that they know that they could call if they needed to. I encourage you to reach out to Richie and at least get a backup, because I tell you what, when those lenders change companies or get out of the business, Richie's there ready to go. So Richie, thank you as always. I appreciate you. And here's one thing I want to do is I'm going to put you on the spot. You're the guest, our next guest is somebody that you know very well. And if I don't know anybody that knows him better than you, who's our next speaker? Introduce the professional relationship you have with this next speaker.
I'm a little bit biased. It's like introducing your hero. I don't think there's words that can do justice. I watched my father, Chris Sorenson, build his career in this industry. I was pushing Hot Wheels around his office as he was taking applications, and then to see him go through 08 and just that constant grit of get up and keep going. That's my father, Chris, and why I look up to him. He's someone that is constantly on the forefront of this industry. And again, there's no amount of words I could say about him. I just respect him immensely. That's my father, Chris.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that. And your dad and I were talking about this before we got started today. And I said, I'm gonna make him feel, I'm gonna push him a little bit. It's gonna be fun. But I tell you this, it's with great pleasure to have my friend, your father, Chris Sorenson, on the call today. Just a little background on Chris. Chris and I have shared stages. We've been in the business a long time. We've known each other a very, very long time. And he's somebody that fires me up. And that's why I was introduced to you. And I'm very honored to having him introduce me to you. So with that said, I'd like to introduce my friend, Senior Vice President, Director of National Retail Production for PRMG, my friend, Chris Sorenson. Chris Sorenson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. I know that I was waiting to see what Richie had to say as far as introduction. And I always joke to everybody. I say, hey, listen, the nice thing about using my son, he can't complain to HR. So, use and abuse them, right? And make sure that you take full advantage of that.
Well, I love it. I tell you what, Richie definitely he's a chip off the old block. There's no question. Chris, let's get right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Give us the 30,000 foot view. Just kind of give us a quick update, because we've got some really powerful questions to ask you about what's going on and how we can thrive in this rapidly changing market.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to do so. And Tim Yates, I'm going to have to ask you some questions. Hopefully there'll be time at the end here. I can ask you a couple of questions that might benefit not just myself, but others as well. But yeah, no, just a little, I got in the business just a little bit after you. It was November of 1987. And like a lot of people, I always tell the story that when I got into the business, I was a real estate agent. I'd gone to work you'll remember this, Robert. I went to the Real to World training school off the City Drive there in Santa Ana. And because I didn't know any better, right? You do what you do. And then, of course, that's where I went. And I failed in the business miserably my first 4 or 5 months. And I always tell the story because this was a life-changing event. It's amazing how, in my case, in Richie's case, fathers can make such a big difference. But I borrowed money from my mother, Robert, 2 months in a row to pay my share of the rent. And then I showed up the third month to do the same thing, and it was only like $400 or $500. But bottom line is, my dad was home early. Now I'm 24 years of age. And I had dropped out of college to go to the Virgin Islands and become a beach bum, and was the first mate on the Kon-Tiki, giving tours every day. Had a blast. But I came back and then I thought, well, I'm going to build condos on Aruba and I'll become a real estate agent and become rich and successful. And as the agents that are listening to me understand, this business is one of the hardest businesses to make money at, but it's the easiest business to get rich at. Let me repeat that. I've discovered over my 37-year career, real estate sales is one of the hardest businesses to get by at, to make a living at, but it's the easiest business to get rich at. No formal education. I passed the exam. I was off and running. Well, I failed the first 4 months, borrowed money, and then my dad was home early and he gave me a speech. And I can't say it on a recorded call like this. Richie's heard it 100 times, but because it involves cursing. So I'm going to say it without cursing. He said, he met me at the back door and he said, I understand you've been borrowing money behind my back from your mother. And I could see past him, my mom sitting at the kitchen table. Obviously, they had been arguing about what I had done and what she had done. And I said, yes, sir. And he said, listen here, you little SOB, spelled it out. He said, unless and until you're willing to work 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days to build your career, he goes, you don't deserve Jack, you know what? Now get the hell out of my house. And that conversation, Robert, changed my life, because while he was not at the top of my Christmas card list as I was driving home, what I did realize is, you know what? I should try this thing called hard work. I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have the knowledge that you've accumulated. You've forgotten more than I knew at that time, for sure. But what I did decide to have is grit and grind. And I said, you know what? I may not be as smart as the people on this call or the people that'll be listening to this on YouTube, but I can outwork them. And that's what I did. I decided to pick up the phone and I pulled up the old Haynes crisscross directory for all of us old folks in the business. And I started cold calling, and I used Mike Ferry, not Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, the dad. I used his script and I started dialing for dollars. And I remember by the third day, I ran into a lady named Thelma Wells, and I said, hi, this is Chris Sorenson with XYZ Company, checking to see if you thought about selling your home now or maybe in the near future. And she said, you must be the answer to my prayers. And I said, why, yes, I am. And the long story short is I went up against Leslie Giacobbe at Seven Gables Real Estate in Anaheim Hills, Ron Acanero, who had did $22 million the year before with North Hills Realty, and I had done zero. And I got interviewed by her son, who was a VP at Coldwell Banker for commercial division out of Denver. He flew in to interview me and Ron and Leslie, and he chose Ron, and the mother overrode him and chose me. And I sold the home for 30 days. I mean, for full price in 30 days. And I had Lee Peters, who gave me 3 listings that week, and I was off and running. So by my dad giving me that speech of saying, stop screwing around in this business. If you're going to be in this business, go all in. Because I did that, I went all in, and I did something that was very uncomfortable. I became comfortable with the uncomfortable. I became a superstar my first year in the business, and I've never looked back. And I think, I'll say this so people understand. I had to check off boxes. I became a top producer at my company there in North Orange County Board of Realtors out of Anaheim Hills. I then became the youngest mayor of my city, had my own mortgage company, fast forward, went through the recession, the Great Recession. Jeff Dobby, the former commissioner of real estate, tapped me in the shoulder to ask me to author a book called Financial Sense to White Picket Fence, in which I taught the 4 Bs, budgeting, borrowing, buying, and beyond. And that book was published by the state of California and put in all 110 California community colleges as a real estate course to teach people how to buy a home the right way. And I share all that with you before I became the senior VP of this company. I share that with the people not to impress you, but to impress upon you that we can set our own destiny. You have to have a plan. You have to have mentors like Robert, and then you basically just have to be self-disciplined. And I will share this with you. I shared a quote with a couple of folks earlier today. I said, self-discipline is the purest form of self-love. If you love yourself, you can't love others unless you love yourself, right? I've got a beautiful wife. I'm married way above my pay grade. I've got 4 awesome boys and 4 great granddaughters. But I have to take care of them. And so I have to be disciplined every single day and serve for success. And the people that actually choose to do so are going to have a storybook career. I've got much more to share, but I don't want to just dominate. So go ahead there, Robert. I'm sorry. I went on a rant there.
No, I was actually forgot I was even hosting a webinar or a podcast. I'm just listening to this great story. That's huge, man. Let's dive into that. So your dad basically had to come to Jesus, and so that goes to mindset. So that's the first question I have for you. What's the key mindset shifts agents need to thrive? That they need to have to thrive in a changing market, because that's kind of what we're going through. We're going through a changing market. What's their mindset shift need to be?
Look, if the agents have stayed in the business this long, God bless you. And just know this, that according to NAR, the business is going to go up. We're going to see about another 500,000 more transactions in 2026 than we saw in 2025. So the good news is business is going up. And, the mindset for me that's always allowed me to be able to have consistent success is when I stopped making about me. For me, it's not for everybody, but for me, there's a book called A Purpose-Driven Life written by a pastor named Rick Warren out of Saddleback Community Church, who's my sister's pastor. And the very first sentence of the book reads, "It's not about you." And that really helped me to be able to have the proper mindset of serving for success. In my mind, the more people you go out there to try to serve, I've got something of value. The agents that are listening to you on this call and the ones that will listen later, if they're honest, if they're hardworking, if they will find the right answers, just the fact that they're honest and trustworthy, they have to compete against people who are not. And so we can't have those people who are honest and trustworthy keeping themselves a damn secret. They've got to get out there and use social media platforms to create the Oprah effect, I like to say, where when they do reach out, people go, "Oh yeah, I can look you up on social media and see that you've got validity, right? You're a solid superstar." So there's ways of doing that, which we can talk about in this session or another session. But the proper mindset is to be able to get up in the morning with a bounce in your step. You've got to know that you're serving for success. You got to know that you're serving other people and that people need you. I can't tell this group how many people are literally sitting last night at 2:30 in the morning with their face in their hands at the edge of the bed going, "I don't know what to do about this home. I don't know what to do about my finances. I need the help of a professional real estate agent, and I don't know who to pick." Sometimes just reaching out to these people and sharing that you're available for them is all that they need.
I love it. That's huge. I mean, that is fantastic. Here's another thing I'd like to go into, because here's one thing is you're all over the country. You
Yes.
talk to agents in just about every market. So it's
100%.
What are the strategies you're seeing top agents dominate? What are they using to dominate 2025? And what are they doing to get ready for next year?
All right. So here's what we're seeing. And agents, they're the tip of the spear, right? The rest of us, whether it be lending, title, escrow, attorneys, we all want to be your BFF because you guys are going out there and doing the grind. You're right. You're holding the open houses. You're spending time away from your loved ones, your kids, and the soccer games to be able to sit that open house and have those 834 people go through. When the rest of us are wanting to be the recipients of all that hard work. And so agents that are succeeding are setting themselves apart by doing the things you just said. When they hold an open house, it's a super open house. When they're going on social media, they're doing it with purposeful intent. They're making sure that they are educating. Look, it's important, obviously, to be clever, but it's more important just to be viewed as an educator and hyper-local in your marketplace. And we also, with the advent of AI, we're seeing a lot of folks use AI, especially in the mortgage side of the business, to generate lead opportunities that and oftentimes can end up partnering with the real estate agents. I mean, we are literally just beta testing December 1st forward. We've been working on this for a year, but we've looked at 5 different companies and have chosen one, and we're now getting ready to pilot here December 1 moving forward to be released in Q1 of 2026, an AI bot that will call our clients and schedule an appointment. It will have a conversation. And Robert, if you could hear this bot, there is no hesitation. It is on it. And so it calls our clients that we actually input and say, these are all of our clients. We want you to call and schedule an appointment with them. And so it will call, schedule the appointment, and talk to the client, and the client could give objections. And unlike a real estate agent or a loan officer that works for me, who will give up after getting a couple of objections, sometimes after the first objection, the AI bot doesn't know how to take no for an answer. So it just keeps pressing forward. And while it's talking to the client, whether it be somebody about listing their home or in our case, a borrower, it simultaneously is calling you, the real estate agent or loan officer, and saying, hey, I'm talking to your client. Do you want me to live transfer them right now? And you can say yes, yes, or no. And you say yes, the bot will then tell the person in this incredible human voice, hey, I just happened to reach out to Robert. He's available. May I transfer the call to him right now? And it'll transfer. If you say no, the bot knows to use your Calendly to go to your calendar and set up a calendared appointment and close on them for the appointment. That's what agents are doing. Now, there's also programs out there that we're seeing agents do. I'll give you a couple of examples of things that we're seeing that we're having great success with. One of them is what we call the Hometown Hero Credit Program. Now, this is for veterans or active military, because everything is about setting yourself apart and making yourself different than the competition, stand out. So imagine, Robert, having a landing page, in addition to all the other marketing that you do, having a landing page where you, Robert, get to say to the public through social media, we provide the landing page to you at no cost. And now you get to say, hey, veterans, are you a veteran or active military? Come through me as the Hometown Hero Credit Specialist for this area. I will provide you up to $21,000 in credit to help you buy a home, get a permanent rate buy down, pay off your debt, etc. Call me for details. And all we ask in return is for the chance to be able to serve that veteran. Where those are things where agents get to now market themselves, and maybe it's the veteran or the active military that comes in for that transaction and for the credit, but then they get referred, as you know, Robert, for the other business, for the other family members. Gosh, I could drone on, right? I mean,
that's huge. So you can really put together a really nice marketing piece to your database and on social media, sending that information out. Hometown Hero, a landing page that Richie, if they reach out to Richie, they could get to that service.
100%.
Reach out, and that's getting you more buyers, and you're tapping into your database. You're being a resource. Now that's for veterans that are getting a VA loan.
We have, Rob, let me start interrupting you, but we have loan officers that are going to their listing agents and saying, hey, put in your comments that this homeowner, that this lender will, or this agent will participate with the Hometown Hero Credit Program and give up to $21,000. It's not coming from the seller. It's not coming from the realtor. It's 100% coming from PRMG.
Wow.
And so now the agent the seller gets the seller price, their home at a higher price, right? Because they're offering this concession that costs them nothing, but it only applies for a veteran. So it allows them to receive phone calls. We have literally had clients that have been declined. Veteran clients have been declined by other lenders, and they come to us, and because we give them the credit, we're able to pay off their truck, pay off the revolving debt, and we're not limited to the 4% rule that people oftentimes think we are. That's only on the seller concession. This is the lender concession.
Wow, that's powerful. And as the agents need to reach out to Richie, they've got your QR code. I believe Carla will be putting Richie's information in the chat box. I encourage you to reach out to Richie and go over that. That's a huge program. I'm sitting here thinking, as a listing agent, if I can offer that kind of concession opportunity for a veteran, number one, it feels good. Number two, that's going to drive a lot of traffic to my property, even more than what I would normally drive. And I'm seeing in this day and age right now, there's a lot of sellers offering concessions. And like you mentioned, Chris, usually it's out of the seller's pocket or the agent's pocket. This way, you built it into where the lender is giving these credits. That's huge. That did I understand that right?
You did. The other thing
Wow.
that I did when I was a real estate agent, one of the things that I love to specialize in was helping builders with their contingent offers. So people come into a home, they get caught up on the ether. They're like, oh my gosh, this home is beautiful, but I've got to sell my down leg property. And so builders they won't change the color on, they won't change the sticker on their board, but they will accept an offer with a 24-hour first right of refusal. And what that means is that if a non-contingent buyer comes in, you've got 24 hours to remove your contingency, as you know, or you lose the opportunity to buy that home.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do then is I would work with the builder and say, when you have somebody comes into your track of homes and they want to buy that home, but they've got a property to sell, call me up. I've got a program that acts in essence like a bridge loan. I can actually create what we call a power buyer program through one of my vendors that does business in all 49 states, with the exception of New York. And I can actually remove their contingency and buy that and help them buy that property non-contingent as a buyer.
Wow.
And so builders would then use me as the agent to refer to list the down leg property because I brought in these types of tools. And so if you're an agent, go to make sure builders know that you can help them sell more properties. Agents don't think to go to builders. One other thing too that I get very excited about that agents have the opportunity. In fact, I'll set you up. I'm going to ask you a question. Tell me what an average referral fee is in the real estate business. If you referred a qualified client to an agent in another market that you don't service, which I know you service the country, but play with me for a second. Let's say that you referred a client to an agent in Paducah, Kentucky, and you're expecting a referral fee. What is the standard referral fee back and forth between professional agents?
The average that I've seen is anywhere between 20 and 25%.
Okay. So let's just for shits and giggles call it 25%, okay?
Okay.
Here's what I want you to consider doing. There are employers in your community. There are churches. There's the union for the fire department. There's the union for the police department. There are government agencies who have employees as well as the employees' friends and family, and also customers and constituents, that if you offered a program to reduce the cost when somebody was buying or selling real estate with a giving component, you could create a win-win-win set of circumstances. Allow me to explain. Can you think of an employer in San Diego, in your neck of the woods?
I'd say Qualcomm.
Qualcomm. You had to go for the big one. Good. Okay. So imagine going to Qualcomm and saying, look, I'd like to offer an HR benefit that costs Qualcomm nothing, but offers their employees and their friends and family and Qualcomm's customers a dramatic reduction and towards closing costs when they buy a home using Qualcomm's preferred home buyer services, which I'm going to set up for you. But Qualcomm, let me ask you this question. Have you heard of Rady's Children's Hospital there in San Diego? And they're like, of course, we donate a lot of money to them. Well, we're going to take a portion of the money that we would give to your employees, and a small portion is going to go towards Rady's Children's Hospital. So every time that you promote this program, and we are successful in helping one of your employees, Rady's Children's Hospital is going to be the benefactor. By promoting this program together, we could save a child's life and contribute towards doing so. And so you could create a win-win, because what happens is, imagine this. You have the 25, let's call it 25% concession from your gross commission, plus an additional 50 basis points from PRMG. The sum of those monies on an average price home in San Diego, as an example, is going to be probably about $4,000 or $5,000 towards closing cost, or permanent rate buy down, whatever Richie deems is probably the best thing for that particular borrower. But you could take a portion of the money of that 25% and say give $300-$400 of it towards Rady's Children's Hospital. And once a quarter, we print one of those big checks that says, hey, between Robert and Weichelt and team and Qualcomm, we just donated $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to Rady's Children's Hospital. And now you promote that on social media. So now you're giving back to the community. You're creating an employee benefit program that costs the employer nothing. And if you can create one of these relationships, you can create 20 of them. And all you're trying to do is create funnel drip income over your head by having 20, 30 relationships over the course of the next year. And if they only net you one transaction every other month, if you've got 20 of them, that's 10 transactions a month. But people are buying and selling real estate every single day, and they don't even know what you're willing to do for them. But if you set that relationship up, Robert, and you and Richie now can hold, just like you're so prone to do, you could hold a Wednesday lunch and learn for 20 minutes, and you can invite anybody who wants to show up. Hey, let's talk about the benefits of using a down payment assistance program. Hey, let's talk about how we can improve your credit. Hey, let's talk about doing a figure home equity line of credit. There's so many subjects you can talk about, and now you create a video vignette library that you put on that landing page for the home benefit program. And now consumers that, or the employees that work for Qualcomm and others, can go to that page and learn all about you and your offering, and knowing every time that they do business with you, Rady's Children's Hospital is the benefactor.
That's huge. That is actually very huge. That could be so Richie, let's put that on the calendar, my friend. That is a great idea, Chris. And I like I said, I could probably, we could be here all day with all the great stuff you have. I mean, thank you so much for so much that you've shared everything. I do have a couple of things else that I'd like to ask. And this is because I just love picking your brain. And when I pick your brain, everybody else benefits. What do we want to say to the agents? What should they be doing? What should they focus on daily, like daily activities for consistent business, in your opinion?
Sometimes people don't like to, so I'll start with the good news. The good news is, first off, the good news is you can dial your own income up or down depending on how big your desire is and your dedication and your discipline. But the good news is you can also, unlike what you and I had to start off with, we didn't have social media. Social media is a third-party validation. When I can show my 5-star reviews, when I can get other people to give brief little testimonials, video or otherwise. And it's important, by the way, we used to always talk about vlogging. You've got to make sure that you're actually not just vlogging, but blogging. You've got to actually take any type of video content that you do. You've got to transcribe it, put the written word beneath it, because that's what ChatGPT, the OpenAI language, is reading. It's not listening to your video. It's reading what you write. And so if you want somebody to go into ChatGPT and say, hey, who is the best agent to help me in the Escondido market? Well, if you want Robert Weichelt to show up, Robert Weichelt better put down in writing that, hey, if you want the best agent in the Escondido market, there's nobody better than Robert Weichelt, and here's the reasons why. And start writing that stuff prolifically so that ChatGPT knows where to find you. So that's number one. But agents, in addition to the validation that social media and ChatGPT can afford you, there's nothing going to replace using the sniper rifle tools that you described when we first got on the call about reaching out to for sale by owners and expireds. I used to love those two areas of the business because they've already proven that they want to sell their home. And when I can show a for sale by owner that, look, by the numbers, I will net you approximately 8% more than you can on your own using my professional services, I thereby negate my 6% commission already. And same thing with expires. I'd talk to an expired and they'd say, well, the previous person listed it for 4% and you're asking for 6% commission. And I would tell the expired agent, I said, look, you're listing expired for a reason. And let me ask you a question. Go back to the time when you listed that property with that agent. Did you ask for a 4% or a 5% commission, or did they just volunteer? What did they ask for? Well, they started, but I negotiated them down to 4.5% or 5%. And I would look them square in the eye and I'd say, and you wonder why you're here. I'm not here to pick China pandas with you. I want to earn your respect. Why would you ever hire a negotiator who can't negotiate as well as you? That makes no sense. They already caved in on the first request of you. What do you think they're going to do behind your back when the other agent's going to come in there and try to hammer you for a better price? They're going to cave. They've already proven it to you. That's the reason why you're listing expired. So if you want a bulldog, if you want somebody who's going to fight for you, because I'm not looking for a commission check. Robert, I'm looking for a lifetime of commission checks. I want you to be so enamored with me that you refer me passionately to your own mother. That's not going to happen if I cave into you. You do what you do best, and I'll do what I do best. I'm a top producing and listing agent, and there's nobody better. And if I didn't believe that, I shouldn't be here. It's not
You know what?
arrogant. It's
That's huge.
confidence.
Confidence is key right there. You nailed it on the head.
In addition to that, I just personally like to get out there and get some exercise. So I believe that holding somebody's open house and then walking 25 doors, as Mike Ferry taught us, walking 25 doors down, cross the street, come 25 doors back, go 25 doors that way, come back, do another 25 doors back to an open house. Ken McCord and I used to do that all the time. We'd hit 100 doors during an open house and always pick up additional business, because when you can tell somebody, hey, knock, knock, knock. I never promoted myself. I promoted the neighbor. I would knock on the neighbor's doors and say, hi, my name is Chris. Your neighbor wanted to invite you over to their home in case you wanted to choose your next neighbor. They're selling their house. We wanted to invite you over to see what your thoughts are. By the way, have you thought about selling your home now or maybe in the near future? If you were to move, where do you think you might want to move to? And by having those conversations with people up and down the street during an open house, I would always pick up additional CMA opportunities, and I always pick up additional listings and buyers. Sometimes people, I would always flatter them and say, a lot of your neighbors are pulling equity out of their property and buying an additional investment property, taking what right now is a goose egg. You've got lots of equity, I'm assuming. You could take some of that equity out and buy an investment property and get a 6, 7, 8% cap rate. Would you like to take advantage of that and build a legacy of real estate? So when you're on fire and you know exactly that what you're doing is changing people's lives, man, there's no holding you back. You just put the blinders on and get out there and serve for success, and know that there are going to be people out there. Maybe it's only 1 out of 50, maybe it's only 1 out of 75, maybe it's only 1 out of 100, but somebody's going to thank you profusely for reaching out to them and not being afraid to do so.
And you know what's interesting you brought up is putting in the work. That's what we started off with today. Success doesn't come without work. You need to track and measure your numbers. It's a numbers game. We need to go out and have conversations with people. That's my big takeaways. Have more conversations, purposeful conversations, focused conversations. So that's huge. You hit a lot of nails on the head. I'm sitting there taking all these notes. I went to Mike Ferry many times, and the guy's a beast. I mean, it comes with internalizing the scripts, and the scripts are not so much, hi, my name. It's they're internalizing. It's a conversation. They're bullet points to keep you on track, and that's huge. So role playing is key there. Keeping track of your numbers is important as well. So thank you for that. A couple more things here I want to go over, because I know we're getting ready to run out of time here. But this is kind of a question for a new agent that's maybe tuning in. What should that new agent do? They have no experience. Most of the agents that I'm referring to, I do a lot of mentoring. I mentor agents all over the country, and I'm a certified mentor with my company, EXP. And what do we want to say to the newer agent just getting into the business? What does that first 30 days look like?
All right. Well, I truly believe that anytime you're going to start a new career, you have to put in massive amounts of activity, and you've got to be willing to make mistakes. The Navy SEALs have what we call the 5 Ps. Perfect practice prevents poor performance. Perfect practice prevents poor performance. Not just practice, but perfect practice. You've got to practice your presentation. You've got to practice your craft. You've got to sit there and do your listing presentation and role play with somebody and film it and watch yourself and critique yourself and just recognize, I don't like the way I look on camera. Well, sorry, folks, that's the way you look and sound like on camera. So just practice and practice over and over and over again. That's number 1. Number 2, there's 4 keys to success. And I would write this down for sure. Decide what you want. Decide what you're willing to give up for it. Set your priorities and go to work. Decide what you want. Decide what you're willing to give up for it. Set your priorities and go to work. The hardest thing for agents or anybody in this planet to accomplish is deciding what they want and what they're willing to give up for it. Most people are floundering because, well, what do I want? Well, I want to be a successful real estate agent. That's too broad. I want to be the number 1 expired agent in the next 90 days in my given market here within these zip codes. That's specific. That's targeted. Okay. I want to hold the most dramatic open houses for the next 120 days. I'm going to have the biggest open houses in my marketplace where the other agents are going to be coming to me saying, how do you get so many people showing up? So be very specific about what you want to achieve. Decide what you want to give up for it. Listen, when you are deciding what you want to give up for it, that means you're going to make certain sacrifices. When you have nothing and you're starting from ground zero, you're going to have to do what I did and what you did, Robert, when we first started our careers. You might have to give up on sleep. Maybe you've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Trust me, you're not going to die. But if you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you actually have a written plan, because a plan that's not written down doesn't exist. But if you've got a written game plan of what I'm going to achieve, discipline, as I said, is the purest form of self-love. So have your daily non-negotiables. Make sure you get up early to become a student of the business and get out there and start prospecting, and be willing to do the grunt work that most won't do. I can tell you from 37 years of doing this business, everybody's always trying to look for the target easy button. And the ones that actually are making all the money and then they take that money and invest it in their product that they're selling, real estate, are the ones that are retired or sitting there like myself with multiple homes in different states. And I could retire today. I don't need to work, but I love what I do. And I've got a bigger legacy to leave. I'm not done yet. But I hope that somebody hears my voice and says, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Today's the day I'm going to do this thing called hard work, like I had to do and you had to do to build our careers.
Well said, my friend. I tell you, you hit it out of the park as always. Now you all know what I see in Chris Sorenson. Thank you, buddy.
Love it, man.
I'm going to go around the horn real quick with our guest, Tim, Richie, and Chris. We'll circle back. I just want to see, let's come to you, Tim, first. If you have could unmute yourself, let's give us some closing remarks and how they can take action with what you're doing.
Well, you guys mentioned a lot about open houses, and I have a question back to you real quick. What's the percentage of people that you would say actually sign in at an open house?
Everybody that comes to my open house must sign in.
Okay, so you make it mandatory.
Absolutely.
Now, okay, let me ask you this though. What percentage of people that sign in though actually give their actual information?
Everyone, because I text them right on the spot. They get a response and they need to verify that it's actually onto their phone. Then they can come in. But
Okay,
average agents don't do that.
Okay, I was just going to say, do you think the average agent does anything like that?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, the reason why I ask is, we haven't even talked about this, but we have an open house program that we've gotten a lot of data back from some agents. We've been beta testing it with in different markets. And basically with our program, we got a 98% sign-in rate and a 98% accuracy rate for their data, for their information. And it has everything to do with basically, we raffle off a $2,500 estate plan. So when people see $2,500, it gives them an opportunity to say that is a huge dollar amount. It creates immediate trust because you're talking about protecting your family. You're talking about their legacy. You're having natural conversations with them. And again, ultimately, people love to talk about things that are not just related to the buying and selling of the house. So anyways, I was just curious about that because the open house thing, so many agents, I think, just don't understand how to take advantage of it with the right program or the right systems. They miss out on so much, especially in this market. As you see, people are lined up down the street. One of our neighbors had an open house. The freaking line was down the street. I was like, what's going on here? And so there's just a tremendous opportunity that I'm excited about rolling out with our agent partners. But thank you for answering it. I was just curious about those numbers. From there.
Well, cool. I appreciate it, Tim. And Chris, let's go to you real quick because I know we got to get off here. What's our closing remarks for those listening?
Well, and thank you. I apologize. I mentioned to you, I have a recruiting appointment actually at 2 o'clock that I've got to jump on and try to convince this person to come join forces with me. But again, about the only thing that I would say to somebody, have purposeful intent. Know what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. I think what happens with so many of us, and I suffered from this, and I don't think I'm too dissimilar from anybody else on this call or people that will listen to this call, is if we don't understand our why and our purpose or our because, whatever label you want to give it, again, we will flounder. It's not until you recognize that you actually have something greater than yourself to achieve and that you are delivering something of massive value that you're going to get up out of bed in the morning with a bounce in your step and go out and deliver the goods. So I would just tell people, do some soul searching, decide what you want to do, decide what you want to give up for it, set your priorities, and then just work your plan. Have those daily non-negotiables, be disciplined, and go out there and serve for success.
I love it. Well said. Richie, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think that was a mic drop. The only thing I'd add is to have that in my ear, to have the privilege to be able to call Chris. Okay, I take advantage that I'm his son and have that constantly in my ear. The only thing I will add with your clients, I bring that same passion because I'm pumped up every morning to serve the public. So to get that warm hug from an agent and everyone involved in that transaction, we just want to make you look good. So yeah, it just makes you smile hearing him talk because it pumps me up.
Robert, can I just say one more thing for 30 seconds?
No, please do. Please do.
Well, the only thing I'll tell Richie is, hey, listen, man, you've got no excuse. I run the 8th largest lender in America. If I can't do a loan and close it in 10 to 14 days, nobody can, right? And so, obviously when he comes, the founder's son, Andrew, he's about the same age as Richie, they're within a couple of years of each other. Paul and I always joke, the CEO, our boys have got the world by the short hairs, man. If they go and have a realtor that needs some help, there's nobody that's going to be able to help them better than the people who are running the damn company. So yeah, take full advantage of Richard Allen and use and abuse him. He's got 2 beautiful granddaughters that he needs to take care of. So
I love it. Well, you know what? It's been a pleasure. The Sorenson boys and of course Tim Yates, thank you for always adding value. I want to thank everybody I want to thank everybody for jumping on another episode of the MORE Listings Mastermind. Next week, we're going over business planning for 2026. I encourage you to jump on that. Chris, Richie, Tim, thank you for jumping on. Everybody that jumped on today, thank you for your time. Make sure you reach out, hit that QR code. Let's schedule a time. Let's take a look under the hood. And again, this is Robert Weichelt for another episode of the MORE Listings Mastermind. I appreciate you jumping on, and we'll see you in escrow.